how does the maintenance part kick in when you say it comes out to the same cash flows? Are you looking at like your average month? Are you looking at the end of the year divided by a number? How do you calculate the fact that it's the same average cash flow?
How do I calculate that it's the same average cash flow? Well, so the differences in purchase prices here, everything that we're doing here fits into a small box. So when I'm saying this is slightly more, slightly less, it's not like some properties are 150,000 and some are 350,000, right? And it's not like if that was the case, then you would have wide ranging cash flows. You would have $25 a month in cash flow to a lot more than that, right? Because as you go up in purchase price, in order for you to deliver the same return on investment, you have to have more cash flow in order to be able to deliver it.
Yep.
So big picture here, these differences are small and they're by design that way, right? All of our purchase prices fit largely into a box of about 180,000 on the low end to about 280,000 on the high end. Our rents might be, about maybe $1,000 on the low end now, maybe going up to maybe 1,800 on the high end now. And we stick in that box as well, because that's where you want to be. You want to be in workforce housing, right? You want to be in those neighborhoods that have low home prices and high rents and high rental demand are surrounded by jobs. So all that being said, don't expect huge differences and don't take it out of context when I say that there's more for this and more for that. At the end of the day, you're talking about a difference in cash flows of maybe $30. You might have somewhere between $25 a month in cash flow to like $55 a month in cash flow, or slightly variable there. But to answer your question directly, how do we account for cash flows? We just look at the rental income on a monthly basis. We less the expenses that happen every single month. We take that cash flow, and then that's a part of all 5 profit centers. So we use all 5 profit centers to run our return on investment calculation over a 10-year hold. And when you do that, that difference of maybe $30 or something like that between some new construction, some renovations, has a very small impact on your total return on investment over a 10-year hold.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. So I guess when I think about cash flows as an investor, if I'm thinking it's going to make my decision one way or another, I'm really not worried about an extra 25 to 30 bucks a month. What I'm more worried about is like, do I need to have more reserves of cash stashed away for like a one-time incident that may happen?
Gotcha.
Does it affect my thinking there when it comes to new construction versus renovated?
So you're saying, are the one-time pops
Yeah.
larger? Are the swings larger in cash flows for a renovated home versus a new construction home?
I think that would probably be what most people would think if I think people are like me.
Yeah. Well, and the answer is no. Right. So a couple of things go into this. Number one, the standard that we renovate our homes to. An average JWB renovation is over $40,000. And the average size of a renovated home is smaller too. So, your average renovated home might be, 1,300, 1,400 square feet. Your typical new construction home is larger than that as well. So you're putting $40,000 plus into a home that might be 1,300 square feet. You are really repairing definitely the mechanicals of the home, roof, AC, right, plumbing, electrical, right? You are largely repairing those almost every single time. Right now, there's exceptions. If it's in perfect shape, we're not going to repair it just to say we repaired it. But you are largely doing those things if you're putting $40,000 plus into a 1,300 square foot home. So the standard that we renovate to is built so that there is no additional risk of a large property turn for a renovated home versus a new construction home.
Got it.
Right. The reason why you have slightly higher maintenance costs is from all those other things in the house that just break a little bit more often. As well as we renovate the home too. I mean, if it's not brand new, little things are going to break a little bit more. And that's why you only see a difference of 4% to 7.5%. Right. Over time for 2,700 properties, if you consistently saw these large swings, you would see that number and that variance be larger. So yeah, so short answer to it, no, we don't see that. Another thing to keep in mind though, you could easily go the other way. A lot of your large property turn costs are for bigger homes. right? If you have a bigger home, you have more flooring to repair, you have just more things in the house that are going to cost more money to repair. So, you know, and listen, I love big homes too, right? I'm just trying to show the other side of it. Big homes get bigger rent, right? And so all that good stuff as well. But if you're thinking about, well, do renovated homes generally have larger turn costs? We haven't seen any data to show that. Just thinking about it from the numbers perspective, if you have a bigger home and you have more things to repair, new construction homes tend to be bigger homes than renovated homes. So we don't see a difference. You know, there's nothing that I would say is you're going to avoid a property turn or a large property turn because you go to a renovated home or to a new construction home. We just don't see a difference there.
Got it. I mean, that proactively answers the question that Lee put as you were speaking. Lee literally just put in, Greg, do you have statistics on turns for new versus renovation homes? So data flywheel says no.
We just don't see any difference there.
Okay. So at the end of the day, home size, square footage, stuff that needs to get changed, more likely to be correlated than new versus old, new versus reno, but no data either, right? Or is there data that says that part?
You mean data to show that what type of things are repaired to that 7.5%
Size
number?
of home being a more expensive turn.
I don't have the data off the top of my head. I'm sure we could run it. I'm largely just going off of just what would make sense for me. I mean, if you have to replace the flooring in the house is, you know, 1,800 square feet versus a house that's 1,300 square feet, you know, it's just the decision, does the floor need to be repaired or not? It's just going to be more expensive if it's a larger one.
Got it. All right. So if we're to recap right now, new construction versus reno, there is lower price point, slightly lower rent, but higher price to rent ratio. Therefore, that's an increase in cash flow that then gets eaten into a little bit by a little higher maintenance, a little higher insurance. And then new construction homes have the higher price point, right? So there's going to be a higher mortgage. The rent is higher, but it's not proportionally that much higher, but you save on insurance. So it essentially creates very similar cash flows within like $20 a month.
Something like that, yeah.
Which doesn't really move the needle as much long-term when you start looking at all the 5 profit centers. And it also doesn't dictate that you need to have higher cash reserves for a turn, because at the end of the day, the variable on the turn is just the resident, I would assume, is like how the resident.
How long can we keep them in your home? And then, yeah, and then largely it's resident driven.
Got it. Okay, cool.